Welcome back to the 91 Podcast. My name is Kosi. Welcome back to the weekend review. We're going to be diving into some of the biggest performances of the weekend, the biggest games, the biggest decisions, and VAR. Plus, what's going wrong with Man United? What is happening at Man City? They lost to Wolverhampton Wanderers. Can they cope up with life without Rodri? Hit the like button, subscribe to the podcast as well. Man United, what is happening with your club? Arsenal fans, talk to me in the comment box below. Are you back? And are you now real title contenders? Right, let's start off with Matchday United. They lost to Crystal Palace, a 0-0 at the Old Trafford. Shambles, pure shambles, absolute shambles and chaos at Manchester United. Now, I don't have a problem with the team losing games, and I don't have a problem with a loss here and there. But Man United are becoming perennial losers. They're becoming consistent losers. If they don't win, they absolutely lose. If they don't draw a game, they absolutely lose. Now, they played about 7 games this campaign so far, and they have already lost 4 of them. And the problem with Man United is they lose away, they lose at home, they lose to mid-table sides, and they're losing to quality sides as well. And Erik ten Hag has a big problem to answer, and he's got questions to answer here with the fans, with the media, and with his bosses as well. If you're losing to Crystal Palace, and you're losing to Tottenham, and you're losing to Arsenal, and you're losing to each and every side you're playing, then you've got questions to answer. I don't think Manchester United really don't have the quality to beat Crystal Palace at the Old Trafford. I really don't think so, and I cannot be convinced otherwise. I think United have the quality, but Erik ten Hag is making some decisions that are hurting this side, and one of those decisions is who to drop and who to play. I think he has said that Jadon Sancho doesn't meet requirements, and Garnacho doesn't meet requirements as well, but then he continues to play Marcus Rashford, who in my opinion has got to be dropped. Marcus Rashford is not giving Man United the quality that he's supposed to be providing this season. He is slowing them down. He is spoiling every end of the attack. They're tailoring, and I think Marcus Rashford needs to go to the bench to find that kind of rhythm, to find himself again, right? Just like Garnacho has done, just like Jadon Sancho has done, just like Erik ten Hag has done with a couple of players. Now, it is not to the extent that I think ten Hag should be sacked, but I think he has been exposed as a manager. He has been exposed with his system of going game by game. He can no longer go game by game. Teams have found him out, and they are absolutely crucifying him. So for me, Man United, the problems are deeper, and Erik ten Hag is one of the problems at the moment. He's got to get his starting 11 right. He's got to start picking the right 11. But Crystal Palace, you cannot take away their brilliance in this game. They were absolutely brilliant. Defensively, I thought Joachim Andersen, the goal to win the game, magnificent, purely magnificent. The way he hits it right first time, the goal is so good. But I think what Crystal Palace will be happier with is they had played Man United in midweek and lost 3-0. And then they played Man United over the weekend, and they won that game 1-0. So it means that Crystal Palace worked on the problems they saw in that game, and Man United simply were basking in the glory, and they didn't look at the problems, right? So I think Roy Hodgson, great guy, purely great guy. That was a very great performance. And Man United, they've got to think about where do you go from here, right? The Champions League, they're not doing well. The Premier League, they're actually not doing well as well. So what is wrong with Man United? Is it the players? Is it the injuries? Is it the manager? Is it the Glazers? Because I don't think every time you have the excuse of the Glazers, you don't have that liberty of going, oh, the Glazers are ruining the club. The Glazers are ruining the club. You have spent over 400 million in the past 2 seasons, in the past 2 summers. Well, that means that as a club, you've got to deliver results. It's the same thing as Chelsea, right? You're not in a different bracket. You're in the same bracket as Chelsea. You're spending huge amounts of money on good managers, on good players, but where are the results? And Man United, will they be top 4 contenders this campaign? It's gonna be very difficult, right? And one of the reasons why it's gonna be very difficult is the next game we're gonna talk about. Aston Villa 6-1 Brighton. What absolutely went wrong for De Zerbi in this game? Because coming into that game, Brighton had scored the most number of goals in the Premier League, 18, and they were really good defensively. I don't think Brighton really allow themselves to be exposed at the back. But what happened in this game? What actually went on in this game? So I think Unai Emery absolutely annihilated Brighton. He froze them, and he looked at them, he understood their game, and he did the opposite. So with Brighton, what they want is to have the ball, and what they want is to dominate possession, because for them, De Zerbi and what we've seen from them, the best way of defending is by attacking. So what Aston Villa did in this game, and Gini genius of Unai Emery, he actually let them have the ball and he invited them into his own half. So when you look at that game, Aston Villa were not actually pressing Brighton. They were allowing them to play it easy right from the back into the half of Aston Villa. So then they allowed Ollie Watkins to run in behind, and whenever Brighton reached the middle of the park, whenever they reached the half of Aston Villa's half, they lost the ball. Villa just intensified the press, picked the ball low up the pitch, and they pumped it into Ollie Watkins and Diaby. They caused absolute chaos. They caused absolute problems for Brighton. And I think De Zerbi will go back and look at this game and go, I was tactically manipulated. I was tactically beaten in this game. So Aston Villa, they pose a big threat to the top four. They pose a big threat to the top six as well. I reckon they will be back in the UEFA Conference League, Europa League, or even the UEFA Champions League. They've got the minerals. They've got everything they need. They have good players, a good manager, world-class stadium, a world-class training facility. I think Aston Villa, we've got to think about them. We've got to consider them. They're actually a very, very good side. But Ollie Watkins as a player, he is back. And Villa are now more scary. They're scarier than they were 2 weeks ago. They're scarier than they were 3 weeks ago. Because 3 weeks ago, they had an Ollie Watkins that was dormant. In the last 2 weeks, this week and last week, Ollie Watkins is scoring goals. Ollie Watkins is taking on defenders. And Ollie Watkins has just got his confidence back. Right from there, right out of nowhere, he scores a hat-trick. And Aston Villa are cruising. So that was a very good performance from the weekend. And Brighton, that is a performance to forget. They've got to focus as well on the spaces they allow in behind. Yes, they're good attacking. They're very, very good offensively. But how about the space they're leaving in behind? They've got to work on that, in my opinion. You can't allow such spaces in games. Of course, Arsenal 4, Bournemouth 0 at the Vitality Stadium. Arsenal absolutely cruising in that game, comfortable, easy. And with Arsenal, the big question is, are they back? The true character of Arsenal this campaign is inconsistency. They win, they draw. They win, they draw. So if you're going to win the title, and if you want to win the title, you cannot be inconsistent. You must tailor together a run of 10 games unbeaten, a run of 10 games just winning. Are Arsenal really back? So because what we saw in that game was this Arsenal side being much better on the ball, out of possession, and the chances they created, beautiful from Martin Odegaard. Very, very beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Because in this game, he was absolutely everywhere, but was also absolutely in the right areas. In the penalty area, bringing about a penalty, scoring penalties, assisting for Ben White. He was magnificent in this game. But the question for us over this weekend, can they now go and beat Man City, beat Chelsea after that, and go some 5 games just winning, 6 games just winning? Because they've not done that, and it is purely hurting them. It's the reason why Arsenal are in the same pool as Tottenham, the same pool as Brighton, because they are inconsistent. So the consistency has got to begin. And maybe one thing Arsenal fans will be happy about, and Mikel Arteta talked about it as well, is the away record they're displaying in the Premier League. They have now played 4 away games this campaign, scored 7 goals and conceded none. So they're literally good. They're very, very good on the road. If they can convert that away record into a beautiful home record and make the Emirates Stadium a fortress, Arsenal could be a team that will have a lot of questions to ask, and many people will not have the answers. Let's get to the VAR disaster. Tottenham 2, Liverpool 1 at the White Hart Lane, and VAR is the talking point in this game. Now, I was watching the Football Terrace and someone said a very interesting point. It is the first time we don't have a footballing reaction to a match of football. It's just technology. We're just talking about technology and incompetence. And it's true. Liverpool, we've got to agree, Liverpool were absolutely robbed in this game. They were robbed. It was a highway robbery, because all the explanations that were given by the refereeing body do not add up. You cannot tell me that there was miscommunication between the VAR, the assistant VAR, and the referee. You cannot tell me that the 3 of them got 2 decisions wrong and none of the other noticed the decision of the other. Bogus. Absolute bogus. But also the refereeing in this game was below standards. It was below par. And I think Jurgen Klopp talked about it. The Curtis Jones red card is not a red card, because he absolutely gets the ball and then he rolls over the ball and catches Bissouma, right? It's not a red card. The Diogo Jota red card as well, I think, in my opinion, in a game the magnitude of Tottenham Hotspur, and you give 20 yellow cards, probably 30 yellow cards potentially in that game, I think the referee was unfit for the occasion. It was poor. it was spoiled. But Liverpool, they will pick up a couple of things in this game, and Tottenham as well. I think for Liverpool, it was about the character, holding on. Joel Matip, class, pure class. Yes, he conceded, he scores an own goal, but he was class in that game. And Jurgen Klopp will look at his side and will be very, very happy. They've done well. They're 9 against 11, and they go deep into extra time without conceding. They didn't allow Spurs to run in behind. They didn't allow Spurs to run through the middle. So they were compact. They were a proper defensively astute side. With Tottenham Hotspur, there are two questions. Are they good enough? Because what we saw against Arsenal is they failed to break down Arsenal, even though Arsenal had lost their best players. They almost failed to break down Liverpool, although Liverpool were 9 men and they were 2 men down. So the question is, are they really that good? Ange Postecoglou, can he drive Tottenham to the top 4? Do they have the resolve? Do they have the quality to drive this team into the top 4? I think it's going to be a very key question for Tottenham. But again, the win was important, and I thought it was absolutely very, very interesting. So that is the biggest we got from this weekend. And I thought the key talking points were Man United losing at home to Crystal Palace, Arsenal thumping 4, getting back to winning ways, VAR, the disaster, and of course the refereeing disaster we saw against Liverpool, and Aston Villa annihilating that big Brighton, Dizabi guy. And of course, there was that Man City losing. Are they not good without Rodri? Sorry. I think just like any other side, Man City will struggle against a low block. And you give credit to Wolves, a lot of credit, because their low block was effective. Their low block meant that City could not go through. City could not actually, find a way through. City could not penetrate. But I think City will be all right. They lost the game. No unbeaten, no becoming invisibles. They will look on to the next game, which is Arsenal. And that's going to be a pure test of how do you bounce back, but then also how do you cope with life without Rodri.